When Adam ate from the tree, he sinned. No buts about it, he sinned. The word means he missed the mark. And that has been the proclamation of the church ever since. He sinned, he sinned. My friends, though that is true, I don't believe that's the supreme issue when it comes to our Father's heart. Allow me to illustrate. I also play the role of a father. That's a role that was given to me by God himself. And when my children sin, when they miss the mark, of course that bothers me as a father. They have sinned, they've missed the mark, they've done wrong. But please hear me, that's not what dominates my heart. My heart is not consumed with the fact that they did wrong. My heart is consumed with a much greater tragedy. That is not so much that they did wrong, but now they're going to have to suffer some consequences because they did wrong. That's what grieves me. I never want my children to experience what they were never designed to experience. Does that make sense? Let's run with this then. Where do you think this dad got that mindset? He got it from the Supreme Dad. When Adam sinned, of course that grieved the heart of God. Man did wrong. But I believe with all my heart that the greater issue in the heart of God was that because man had done wrong, now he was going to experience consequences. He was going to experience death. He was going to experience loss. He's going to experience fear and grief and sorrow and anxiety and guilt and shame and isolation and independence. And we could go on and on and on. And all of those things man is going to now experience because he divorced himself from God and married himself instead to the law. The tree of performing, the tree of good and evil, the tree of right and wrong, where man in an effort to live from that tree, in an effort to make himself like God, could live independent of God. And so now what's going to happen is man is going to experience guilt and shame whenever he does the wrong thing, and he's going to experience pride when he does the right thing. You see, when it comes to the law, it's like that old 1960s rock and roll song. It's going to be, I fought the law and the law won. This is what grieves God's heart. Man was never supposed to be concerned with doing right and wrong. He was never even supposed to know right and wrong. That economy only came into the experience of man because man sinned by eating from that tree. Before that event, man didn't even know what right and wrong was. He didn't even know he was naked. All he knew was God. And the key is, my friends, that was enough. That was enough to know God. And that's been man's struggle ever since. The somehow believed lie that God is never enough. And so ever since that faithful day, that's been man's struggle. Not believing that God is enough, and therefore always laboring to do the right thing and not do the wrong thing, in an attempt to make himself okay or adequate or capable, independent of God. So I trust you see why the sin of Adam, the sin of any man, grieves the heart of God so much. It's not just that man is sinning at that moment, but the fact that man is going to experience the consequence of other than God. As a father, he wants so much for his children. He doesn't want us pursuing the doing of right. He doesn't want us pursuing the avoiding of wrong. That was never supposed to be our economy. He wants us to experience him, the right one, the holy other one, the one in whom there is no evil, no wrong, so that in experiencing him, he, the right one, would make us right and then express his rightness through us. That's why throughout the Old and New Testament, we are pointed to the fact that we were going to ultimately be removed from the law and restored to the person of God. As I meditate on that, what a great Father we have. His great concern is not to point a finger at us and say we did wrong. His great concern is to open up his arms in compassion and woo us back to himself so that he can be sufficient for us, even as we have to experience sometimes the consequences of our choices. And know this, that his concern is so great that it led him to send his son so that he could ultimately remove our sin. And not just remove our sin, but one day remove even the consequences. That's how fully we can be restored to him in Jesus Christ. And that makes me say, wow, indeed. I trust you're saying it too.